Edward Dwyer was born in Fulham, London, on the 25th November 1895. A greengrocer's assistant before joining the colours, Dwyer joined the army at the age of 17 in 1912. Here we can see Dwyer's handwriting as he joins the East Surrey Regiment. The United Kingdom entered World War I on the 4th of August 1914, when King George V declared war after the expiry of an ultimatum to the German Empire. 12 days later, Dwyer and his battalion land in France, taking part in the retreat from Mons. The following year, on the 20th of April 1915, Dwyer finds himself in the defence of Hill 60 near Ypres, Belgium. The German army launches an attack when 19-year-old Private Dwyer helped wounded comrades, as well as encouraging the men on during the battle and dispersing the enemy attack. For his actions this day, he was awarded the Victoria Cross. His citation reads, "For most conspicuous bravery and devotion to duty on Hill 60 on the 20th of April 1915. When his trench was heavily attacked by German grenade throwers, he climbed onto the parapet and, although subjected to a hail of bombs at close quarters, succeeded in dispersing the enemy by effective use of his hand grenades. Private Dwyer displayed great gallantry early on this day, leaving his trench under heavy shell fire to bandage his wounded comrades." Following his VC action, he was promoted to Lance Corporal and returned to Britain, where he held the recruitment efforts and even appeared in propaganda film to encourage enlistment. Here we can hear Edward Dwyer's own words about his experiences during his service overseas.
They tell me that you would like to hear something of what our boys are doing at the front. And although I'm only a youngster, as soldiers go, I've seen about as much fighting as is good for any man. And I think there's still a bit of fight left in me yet, if I get the chance to go out again. I was already in the army when the war broke out, and went to France on August 13, 1914, 9 days after the declaration of war. The first big scrap we had was at Mons. It's 12 o'clock Sunday noon. The Germans don't take any count of Sunday. You people over here don't realise what our boys went through in those days. That march from Mons was a nightmare. Unless you've been through it, you can't imagine what an agonising time it was. We used to do from 20 to 25 miles a day. We filled our haversacks with biscuits and ate them as we marched along. The longest march we had was from Bury-on-the-Aisne to La Bassée. That was after we had advanced on the Marne and started to push the Germans back to the Aisne. We were sent out to relieve the French at La Bassée. It might have been 40 miles. At any rate, we started off on the 4th March early in September. It was a Saturday morning, and reached La Bassée Sunday dinner time to relieve the French. We had a 4-hour sit down, and then we went straight into action in open formation. That was when we pushed them back 15 miles in 3 weeks. I remember September the 30th too. It was the day we drew the first pay since we'd been out there. 5 francs. We had to last as long as we could make it. No more pay until November. 5 francs from August until November, and bread was a franc a loaf. There was only one thing used to cheer us up on the march, that was singing. We used to sing Tipperary choruses, invented by some of the chaps. Tipperary was in full swing then, and they'd always gone to something they'd invented themselves. It used to buck us up, and we would march all the better for it. Sometimes we'd sing some of T.H. Eliot's songs, you know, the chocolate-coloured tune, but we'd always go into something we'd invented. Woo! If you are not already fed up with what I've said, perhaps you'd like to hear something about the boys in the trenches. In the early days of the war, when we were pushing the Germans back from the Marne, we would only perhaps occupy a trench for one day, and then dash forward and dig another in the night. The longest spell in the trenches I was 18 days. We were short of troops, and eventually the Indians came over to relieve us. At night, so many men were detailed off to bring the food to the trenches. We would get bacon, cheese, biscuits, dry tea and sugar. No fires were allowed in the day owing to the smoke, and no fires at night because of the glare. So we had to make tea as best we could. We used to cut up sticks as thin as matches and light them in our dugouts, and we were probably smoked out, I can tell you. Another time we could not get out for water, so we made a little fire and melted the snow down in our canteen. It took about an hour and a half to make a cup of tea then. Christmas last year, we were in the trenches at Fulham, and all the sniping stopped, and it was quite quiet until the day after Boxing Day. Then two of the snipers picked off two of our men, and we declared war. The German trenches and ours are very often not more than 50 yards apart. That's why bombs were used. These bombs are bottle-shaped, with a handle, and weigh about 4 pounds. They explode as soon as they hit the ground. I was a bit nervous about bombing and didn't care about doing it. Eventually I took it on, and I expect you'll smile when I tell you the reason. It was because I found I could get a couple of hours extra sleep as a bomber. And this brings me to the part where I'm supposed to tell you about the Victoria Cross. But honestly, I don't think it's at all interesting, and I'm afraid I don't remember much about it.
Well, as the sergeant won't tell you, I will. It's the Hill 60 on the 20th of April, 1915, that Private Dwyer, as he then was in a trench heavily attacked by the Prussian Guard, throwing hand grenades. He climbed on the parapet, and although a hail of bombs rained upon him, he succeeded in dispersing the enemy single-handed by hurling grenades at them in return. Earlier in the day, he had left his trench in the face of the enemy in order to bandage some wounded comrades who lay there. And it was for these acts of gallantry that the sergeant was awarded the greatest honor man can get, the Victoria Cross. And now the sergeant would like to have a final word.
I'm only a youngster, barely 20, but I'm doing my bit, and I tell you you're wanted, and wanted badly. If you people at home are anything to you, they're worth fighting for. Be a sport. Come up and show the damned Germans that we're better men than they any day. Don't stay at home singing till the boys come home, for when the boys do come home, nothing will be too good for them, and you slackers will have to go and hide your faces.
He returned to his battalion and by 1916 was promoted to corporal, where he served with the 1st Battalion, East Surrey Regiment during the Battle of the Somme. When on the 3rd of September, the battalion was in Maltshorn trenches and tasked with attacking German positions in Guillemont. The attack commenced at 12 noon. The battlefield was heavily shelled, with trenches and barbed wire creating difficult conditions. The Germans had strong defensive positions, including machine gun nests and deep bunkers. During this attack, Corporal Edward Dwyer was killed in action. He is buried at Flatiron Copse Cemetery, Mermetz, and was just 20 years old. In the words of Edward Dwyer, he's not much of a singer mind, but I will end the video with the only recording known of a casualty Victoria Cross recipient singing from World War I.
I don't think I've got much of a voice for singing, but I try and sing one or two of the choruses we used to sing. We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here. We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here. We'd be far better off, far better off, far better off in a hug. Here we are, here we are, here we are again. Hello, 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 hello. Here we are, here we are, here we are again. Hello, 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 hello. Woo!
If you like listening to the stories of the history of those who came before, then please give the video a like and subscribe to keep updated about future videos of the history of those who came before.